Turn this up. Let's start recording. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with episode 20 of Zed Daily. I've got a true OG of Zed Run with us today, Zed Gazette. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. So before we get into Zed Run, I've recognized that you're like a real OG in crypto. So I wanted to ask you about your story of how you got into crypto.
Yeah, I've been in crypto for about a decade now. I started way back in the Silk Road, just figuring out you can buy Bitcoin and stuff like that. I mean, an ounce of weed back then was like 30 Bitcoin. So it was a different game for sure that we were playing. And I kind of stuck around after Silk Road, bounced around some of the dark markets and learned about the encryption side of it all and the cryptography. And in 2013 is when the hard forks of Bitcoin started coming out, like your Litecoins, your Dogecoins, all at 2012, really. And then I started investing and reading white papers and learning even more about the blockchain from there, and just been going since. Took a few years off with the 2018 bubble. Was living in China, so it made it a little bit harder to kind of participate. But now that I'm back in the States, it's been a lot of fun to jump back in it. NFTs wise, I was always hesitant because I really am a utility driven investor at the end of the day, right? Like that Umbria bridge that I've been talking about for a long time now. I looked at that as a solution to interoperability between blockchains. And that's why I jumped in it so early and I've been such a proponent of it, right? So those are the kind of things I typically look for. But when I looked at Zed Run and the utility it was offering and the amount of investments behind it and capital from proven entities, it was hard for me to ignore Zed Run at the end of the day.
So how did Zed Run come across your page? Like, how did you see it, hear about it, find out about it?
I was looking at all the NFT because with NFTs, I've always kind of looked at it as there's going to be different markets for it, right? There's definitely the art market of NFTs and there's definitely gaming, but I also see music and production of movies, television, right? Just the ability to have actual ownership of the content for the creators. I think it's a few years down the road still, but I saw NFT gaming really starting to poke its head out. And I was always a big gamer on the PC back in the day with like Diablo 2 and some Counter-Strike. So back in the day, we would sell our items on eBay from Diablo 2 and meet the person in game and give it to them. And then they would give me cash on eBay. So the idea of selling items within a game structure was very natural for me. And when I saw NFTs potential to create that secondary infrastructure where you can take the item actually out of the game where there's true ownership, I thought, man, I've already seen this happen and it has a great potential. And with the amount of money being invested in the esports, right? It's not even gaming anymore. They really call it esports industry, that it just seemed like a natural next step. So I always keep an eye on what games are coming out, even since 2018 with CryptoKitties. I saw CryptoKitties and I was like, not my style. But I saw Zed Run, but it was so far away at the time. It's like, I'm not going to spend money today for 2 years down the road because that's really how it was. But I was just looking for new gaming opportunities and investment opportunities to come into early. So it's I've got a couple of little Riot Racers. I got MotoGP. I got I just always looking for the next thing, right? Right now I'm looking for new opportunities with DeFi projects on emerging blockchains, right? So a bunch of them on Solana I was an early investor on, like Orca, Serum, different DeFi projects there. So it's just along the same track of looking for early opportunities.
Okay. And so when you're looking for these early opportunities, is it more investment value or entertainment value that you're looking for?
Depends, right? If it's more on the gaming side, it needs to be entertaining, right? I look at Chicken Run and I'm like, that's not entertaining. Right? At the end of the day, I don't want to watch these little chickens go across. Oh, Google's talking to me. But when it comes to, Zed Run, I saw it as it was entertaining. People get hooked on that first race, right? It makes it, you're cheering for, a digital entity at the end of the day. And with that entity as true ownership, it really gives a connection to the game that I saw that other, NFT gaming opportunities didn't present. Like Axe, at the end of the day, you're grinding, but people are passionate about their ownership of their horses. I think it's something that really sets it apart.
Yeah, it's definitely
When it
different.
comes to when it comes to like utility though on blockchain stuff, I'm always looking for growth. Like Umbria has a max supply of 20 million tokens, I think, after a certain amount of time, and a token like that can easily be $100 token just on market cap alone, right? So I'm looking at that kind of stuff too.
I like that. So when did you make your first move and buy your first horse? Was it around a drop on secondary market? What was the story behind that?
Well, when I started playing, the marketplace just sat there and there was horses in it. So like if you went and you bought a horse because Buterin Z10s were $20 at the time. So you go buy a Z10 and you're like, oh, that's a crap horse. And then you go buy another one. And then that's a crap horse. And you go buy another one. Um, right. So at that time, like the cost of a Z1 was $1,250, I think. And so $1,200, $1,300 for a Z1, and then a Z2 was $750. And they just kind of sat in the marketplace, and you had an opportunity to shop and pick your colors and all that kind of stuff. I bought mine in October of last year, and it really didn't pick up until that first drop in January-ish, February-ish time, where it just Zed kind of went crazy with the Top Shot migration of users over. But yeah, I started with a bunch of Z10s and went from there.
So why'd you move up from the Z10s? Was it that they were bad racers? What'd you want? Did you want a different bloodline? Why'd you go for the more expensive horse?
Um, I I just really wanted the better bloodline. I wanted a Nakamoto at the end of the day, right? Supreme Polarity cost me $750, right? All in on horses that I have within that I've bought is only about $3,300, right? So I'm not pot committed to this game where a lot of players, users, content creators, all of them are, right? I've already made my money and I'm already doing well, and I still have some great horses within my stable. So it's just that I'm playing a different timeline of the game than a lot of players. Right? I feel bad for the people that came in 2 months ago, I bought at the top, and now they're seeing their value kind of fall off. But for my situation is a little bit different because it's like I'm in it for the long haul, and my circumstances are a little bit leveraged in my favor.
Okay, so tell us a story about how you purchased Supreme Polarity. Did that horse stand out? Did you buy it because of the name, the color? Why'd you pick that horse?
Yeah, so there was two Z2s left. I didn't want to go $1,200 because I was like, it's way more money than, because really when you're looking at a $20 Buterin and a $1,200 Nakamoto, it better be 100 times better because I'm getting one horse instead of these, right? So I really sat there and thought about it, and there was a Matter of Time, which is another great horse that's owned by Poseidon Stables, and Supreme Polarity were left. And I was like, all right, I'm a big mare fan. She was a mare. Matter of Time, he's a stallion, and I was struggling with it, right? Because it's 35 Buterins, right? Like, is it going to be better than 30? Am I going to get a better horse out of this horse than 35 Buterins? And finally, I just bit the bullet. I bought it, and that's back when we could use credit cards. So just bought it on a credit card to avoid gas because we were on Ethereum at the time, and snagged Supreme Polarity, and turned out to be one of the best horses in the game. Right? I got super lucky. I had some great offers on her and turned them all down. But it was a hard choice. Like I woke up with my wife. Right? It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I probably had too many beers, and it felt like a better idea than it really was. I woke her up. I was like, yeah, I just got the best horse in the game. Basically, like it's meeting odds with Breathless Edge. It's meeting odds with Billions. It's beating odds with Ducky Malone. Like all these horses that are still well known within the ecosystem. Supreme Polarity competes on. I mean, she beats Grandeur at 2,400 in odds when we had those. So across the board, she's one of the best odds horses in the game. Got super lucky on it, and it could have been worse. I was going to buy Zion, which is a kind of a well-known breeding horse he was with, I forget who it was with now, but yeah, I was going to buy him for $1,200, but luckily the other stable bought him before me, and he was like a 35 odds Z1. So I got really lucky that one got bad out from under me, and I got Supreme at the end of the day. But yeah, no, it was an exciting purchase, and I've never sweat so much as I did in that Griffin to see some odds. So it was a good time.
That's pretty cool, man. So how do you go about breeding Supreme Polarity, or just breeding in general? Because like I look at you as like the inbreeding king, or the king of the inbreeding theory. So
Yeah.
I've always heard you say like that we're not doing it right when we're looking at the whole numbers of inbreeding right now. So why inbreeding and how do you go about it?
Yeah. So I'm changing my inbreeding strategy a little bit right now, and this is the first time I've talked about it, just because I'll get into it. But so inbreeding, the reason I'm doing it is because that's how it's done in real life. And most of my theories, and Dr. Ian, who's my partner in crime, he has a PhD in computer science. He's a mad scientist, and like we were crunching data back in January and February that a lot of people are working on now. So when we were looking at what strategy we were going to deploy in this game, we said, let's just copy real life and see if we can find examples of that being possible with genetic algorithms. Because we knew there was a genetic algorithm in place because the team told us, and they told us that they bought it from Hong Kong, because I got on a call with them and I said, you don't have the expertise to write this out. I've looked at your LinkedIn's. And they said that part was from Hong Kong. So with that being in mind, I started looking at for similarities within the game structure that matched IRL. And something that I found pretty immediately was that siblings in IRL horse racing is controlled by the lineage of the mare. So two horses with the same dad can mate in Zed Run, even though technically they are siblings by human standards. By horse racing standards, they are not siblings, and Zed Run matches that. For a little bit, the breeding contract was broken, and they would let all siblings breed together. But that's Jeff's fault at the end of the day, Lord of the Flames. So when I saw that, I saw the Griffin race, I saw the similarities to Hong Kong, because Griffin race is only deployed in Hong Kong and it's part of their racing syndicate. I used to live right across the border and kind of hit those races. It's a lot of fun in Happy Valley. But I started saying, what did they do in the 1600s? What do they do today? What do they do? What kind of strategies have they used IRL? And that really comes down to inbreeding, especially in the 1650s. So my original theory I've been testing out is close inbreeding, which is what they did when they first started bringing horses over and making the bloodlines we know today, where they're breeding cousins and aunts and uncles and siblings and blah, 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 trying to focus this DNA into a repeatable pattern of breeding. It's not working very well right now. Right. I'm easy to admit that if it's not working, because I'm not going to keep doing the same thing. But the next step in my inbreeding thing that I want to test out is called line breeding. And that's what they do today, IRL, for horse breeding. And it's when you leverage 4 to 6 generations back in the family tree with similar lineage, but within those 4 generations, so your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents, you can't have any similar lineage in IRL horse racing. You can, but that's not what they do anymore. And it's called line breeding, LINE. So it really fits in with the recursive nature of the mares. I didn't want to test this one first because number one, I was like, all right, maybe it's 1650s DNA. We really need to refine it. Not working. And number two, it's way more expensive and time consuming to do line breeding testing, because I have to breed about 7 generations deep to get those 4 to 6 generations at the top separated enough with recursive mares that's going to take me like 6 more months to test out line breeding, just because they added that 30-day puberty period and removed twins. So moving on from close inbreeding to line inbreeding, where I'm looking at the extra stack of DNA through the recursive mares. We'll see how it goes. I think if Zed didn't use the IRL breeding strategies as an opportunity to leverage within the Zed ecosystem, I think it's a huge miss and mistake by the team at the end of the day. Because if you're saying, oh, I want to replace IRL horse racing, you have to bring in the players of IRL horse racing. You need Bob Baffert to step over and say, oh, I want to play this game. And if you look at Bob Baffert's breeding strategy and why he bought the horse that won the Derby but cheated, it's because 4 generations back, it's 2 foals from Secretariat that are bred together on different sides of the family tree. So what he looked at was this line breeding theory, 4 to 6 generations back, found common ancestry from Secretariat, bought it for $1,000 and won the Kentucky Derby because he was looking at line inbreeding strategies. So that's what I'm moving towards now. And if you aren't going to ask IRL players to come to the metaverse and play by similar rules as what they're used to in real life, then they're not going to acclimate correctly, and they're going to think it's a ripoff, because they're going to take the same techniques that they're using now and try and do it here.
And it wouldn't work if we don't have that algorithm in the background.
Yeah. If they're not leveraging it in some sort of gameplay fashion, I think it's going to be difficult to, keep them at the stable breeding, right? Because right now it looks like we're only having real success, really going consistently to the legendary level. After that, the exclusive elites, we're not having a lot of success creating a strong lineage, continual lineage of breeding, which is how it works in real life, right? This horse constantly produces good horses, or this horse, when matched with this kind of horse, makes good horses, right? There's awards that go out in almost every country of horse racing to say this is the best brood mare. This mare makes the best babies, and it's not a good racer. It's a brood mare, right? So there's all these opportunities from real life that could be deployed within Zed, and I really hope that they took advantage of that, right? If they didn't, I think it's a miss, but we'll see. Close inbreeding not working, ready to move on to some line inbreeding and spend way more money and more time. So not what I was looking forward to. But it's all right.
How do you feel about the current changes to the breeding minimums? Is that helping you save money, and are you breeding more right now?
Yeah. I stopped, well, because at the end of the day, I think we're all experimenting. And that's the argument I made to the team, right? We're bad breeders. The large percentage of stables are bad breeders. And if we don't have the ability to experiment and find a way to leverage, right? Because there's some good breeders out there that are making but it's typically, like I said, the legendary level. But if you can't take bad horses and leverage them within the game, then they're completely useless in the breeding aspect, right? Within the whole game. If you can't leverage them within breeding and they can't race, then what's the point of all these horses? And that's really what my breeding theory is about, is trying to take these aspects of real life, and that's why I experiment with Booterins so much, because I want it to be an average user's experience with the game, and just try and find a way that people can be successful that way, right? Because if you got to have Nakamoto's and Sazabos and meeting at the legendary level, and right, and it really prices out the average user, I think. And bringing down the minimums gives us an opportunity to do more experimentation and say, okay, this isn't working or this is working. And once I've always told them, when we get good at it, charge us more. But right now we're really bad, right? What is it? Only 3% of horses have 0.1 profit or something like that. Insane. That's not good at the end of the day.
No, it's not good at all. You went back and you screenshotted the Discord early, to my understanding. So what are some of the things that they said back then that you think we should have right now? Is it the Des token? Is it ownership of racetracks? What's something that they've said that we're gonna have right now that we don't have and that we need?
I think on that aspect, it's mostly about dashboards. They've been talking about dashboards for 2 years, honestly, saying that, oh, you're going to have these breeding dashboards. You're going to have this segregation of your wallet within the stable. So you can say, these are my racing horses. These are my breeding horses. Right. So you can just divide it. They've been talking about these stable organizers for 2 years now, and it still hasn't come about. So, but they've made some recent hires that I think are the team members that are responsible for that. And that's why we've seen the upgrade to the stable view already. So I think that's a step towards dashboards. But most of my screenshots are about kind of how the underlying infrastructure of the game works, right? Base ability is a thing. I have screenshots about how they use it and what it's used for. Base ability is used in the provably fair aspect of Zed Run. It's how they're going to be used in the gaming commission and stuff like that. So those are really the kind of screenshots I have. Good one in the past is that they wanted to reward users for playing more with the performance of their horses. So that could be said that maybe they're making ETH1 part of the racing algorithm. So if you play enough, you earn more ETH, you might have better odds. Or if you have enough experience points with class points, maybe that leverages the odds more heavily in your favor. So all these sorts of things that they don't talk about anymore. And then they deleted the entire history when I started sending screenshots. So we'll see. Yeah, I was taunting him one day. So I got a bunch of that kind of stuff, right? What they talked about, they wanted to be within the racing algorithm, within the genetic algorithm, what attributes, how they wanted different racing systems that they were developing over the years to work. I have all that kind of stuff, but it's more of, I'll probably share that stuff once we get out of beta, right? And then everyone can kind of feast on it as it goes. But I feel like it's a little bit too early for that, especially if they deleted it. I don't want to be the one leaking it all at the end of the day. I respect the Zed team and the amount of work they put in and all that. But, eventually I will share everything.
Okay. So speaking on gaming commissions, do you think Zed can get into casinos if we're having stuff like the BG put out something to where high distance preference horses were getting 12th a lot more or something like that? Or more consistently, and then the Sentinel stuff. So do you think that it has to be like a public algorithm that we all have to know about it to get into these casinos and stuff, or is it just the commissions?
Well, what it really is about being provably fair, and that's where I think a lot of Zed community and stable owners are a bit confused on what it means to be provably fair. Provably fair doesn't mean everyone has a chance to be good, right? Not in the blockchain sense. What it means in the blockchain sense is that you can't cheat the casino. So when we load our 12 horses into the race, it immediately prints the winner of the race onto the blockchain. And then we have like that loading period of, 6 minutes or an hour, or whatever it used to be, right? Where people could place bets. And basically, to be provably fair, it says that people place bets and it doesn't impact the results of the race. So the race has already been printed onto the blockchain, the results, and then they reveal the race results once the race is over. So it never changes between when it's loaded and when it's shown. That's about being provably fair. And eventually they'll be able to give us they have a nonce. I wrote an article about it back in the day, how it technically will work, and some examples of games that are leveraging it right now with poker and dice and slot machines and that kind of stuff. But it's really about making so that the results of the race doesn't change while bets are being made. That's provably fair. So that no one guy bets a whole bunch of money and the house says, oh my God, we're going to lose our ass. They can't change it, right?
Okay.
That's being provably fair.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. Because that used to happen all the time in casinos, especially when the internet casinos first started, because there's really no how do you prove it. But they'll make a public source kind of algorithm input, where you can plug in the nonce, you can say this is my horse, and it'll show you, yes, it was printed on the blockchain that this one was going to win, and regardless of bets. That's the most important thing for the gaming commission, especially in these type of games, because it's not racing, right? Everyone says, oh, the race doesn't matter. I think that's a misconstrued idea, where the race graphics, it's not actually a race, but that doesn't mean the performance of the horses within the race doesn't have some vision into the traits of the horse, right? Where we're not racing. We're probably, like, I think Dan Shan's I've talked about roulette. Roulette's a good way of looking at it. You could say it's poker. You could say it's one of these already provably fair underlying games that they've implemented underneath that are leveraging the horses in a certain way, right? And unless they came up with their own provably fair game, that would be incredibly difficult, but I'm sure they're leveraging one that's already known.
Okay. And then so that's for the commissions. Now, as a player, do you think it's fair? Okay, so they've had the great reset, right? And now my understanding that was for the greater of the game, because there was Escobar and the other like glitched horses. Go ahead.
The great reset was it was because they brought in a new racing algorithm, right? They didn't change the underlying DNA on the back end, is what they said. And they promised, and we had a whole bunch of conversations like a year ago on it with them. But it's like they took, all right, so the old race algorithm was like Harry Potter. Good book, kind of crappy, lots of holes. And they brought in Lord of the Rings, and now that's the racing algorithm. Same genre, fantasy kind of nonsense, but it's way more complicated now. Right. So it was really about saying that these stats with the Harry Potter race algorithm are no longer valid because they don't represent what will happen in the future. So that was the great reset. So with Escobar and those guys, what happened was that was a breeding algorithm, breeding contract glitch. When they made the migration over to Polygon and first opened up the breeding barn again, they put too much DNA on one horse. And they started freak performancing and pushing all the other horses to weird odds and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where I saw that, and I was like, okay, so if you can stack similar DNA, that's kind of like inbreeding. And now we got these super horses. I kind of saw that as, moving in the right direction, right? If you have 4 of the same parent on one horse, and now it's pushing other horses to 200 odds, and it has 1.3, right? That's where I looked at that and thought, inbreeding, if we can leverage it correctly, I think we can pull that kind of super freak out of these horses.
Okay. That makes sense. And yeah, if that's how they do it in real life, it only makes sense to at least try it in this game, right?
I hope, right?
So
I spent thousands of dollars trying.
do you think that, well, one, have they ever nerfed horses after the Great Reset? And do you think that they're ever gonna nerf horses in the future? And should they be able to?
I don't think they've nerfed anything besides the glitches from the breeding contract. I think I've talked to the team about it, because honestly, they can turn off your horse at the end of the day. You own the token but they can turn off your ability to interact with the platform. So at the end of the day, congrats with your token that no longer does anything. So, right. And that's when people are like, oh, I don't want to sign the terms and conditions. I'm like, they could do that shit to you right now. You don't have to sign it. Right. You're doing it to yourself by not even playing. There's nothing you can do with that token outside this game. Right. Like, so yeah, they have vehemently said that's not what they want to do. They want to stay as decentralized as they can, because if you start turning off horses and impacting people's performances, then it's more centralized than they're comfortable with. And just since they've been around for 3 years, they do have that crypto ethos of decentralization. But like when it comes to like the insider trading thing, I think that was completely overblown at the end of the day. Like I'm not saying that it's not, something couldn't have happened, but I have been shown no evidence of the Zed team being involved at all. Right. I've said, like, do you have any blockchain connection between them? Do you have any? There's nothing at the end of the day. Right. I'm not saying it's not true or it is true. I'm just saying, show me some evidence. Because if the evidence is it was overpriced, it was one transaction, and it's a good horse, that's not even circumstantial. That's just like a guy got a horse. Right. Like, the feelings around them that it is suspect doesn't make it circumstantial evidence. Feelings of suspect activity isn't circumstantial, just the activities themselves. Like, I was at a place that got robbed and my cell phone pinged I was there at that time. That's circumstantial evidence, because there's evidence to put me at the place of the crime. There's nothing to put circumstantial evidence of, like, oh, Zed might have touched this. It's just, I heard, right? Because I asked the guy, I was like, can you show me one thing? And they said, I heard. And after I don't, I heard that something, what? No, it's not middle school at the end of the day. I need a little bit more evidence before we start trashing assets that are over $100,000 in some people's wallets, Not saying that I know either way. I'm just saying I need more evidence at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Umbrella Man, right? I watched this documentary on the Umbrella Man, and it was like, we always want to just assume something bad, but he was just like, yeah, it was raining the night before and I just wanted to have an umbrella or something like that. And it's like, oh man, it's our minds just instantly go to the negative thing, right?
Yeah, it's Occam's razor, right? Like, the most obvious action and result is usually the right one, right? It's, if we start saying, well, what if this and what if fairy dancer, they got a whole bunch of Eves, that's so much compounding what ifs that it's too many dots to connect without any evidence to, like, put a backbone to it, for me personally, right? I mean, other people can have their perspective on it, but I've seen stuff in the past with stables manipulating prices by selling horses to their friends with big bags of ETH. Absolutely, I've seen that. Right. I have evidence of it from my screenshots from like 2019 of someone that's still in the community that did it or was accused of doing it. Right. I'm not going to say anyone who it is, but like, it's part of the Wild West aspect of all of these just blockchain ecosystems, right? I mean, I laughed really hard last night because I was going to get an X clone from Artifact, and I got one. But as soon as I saw they were hitting with a DDoS, direct denial of service attack, I immediately thought back to my days on the dark web when a new marketplace would open, and then they would direct denial of service attack a different marketplace, so it would shut down, and then everyone would be like, oh, it's shut down, and go to the new marketplace. That's what happened to Clone X last night. People hit it with that direct denial of service. No one could get on to buy it, and they're waiting for the Dutch auction to cash down to wherever they want it to be because no one could access the site. So those kind of things happen to every project, right? At the end of the day, even ones that are just a simple avatar, art, whatever, right? There's a lot of manipulation going out there.
Yeah, it's the wild. I kind of love it though, right? I mean, it's the wild, wild west, and we're building the new frontier. So we get to see, like, a lot of this stuff will be regulated in the future. So we'll see how people like that are doing wash sales and all that stuff, how that plays out. What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about, like, what you just said? How does that play out? People selling for losses, but it's technically just to their friend or to themselves. Like, what do you think that's going to be on taxes?
It's like you said, people are manipulating it for their own personal gain and things like that. It's going to be a long time before the IRS has the ability to audit the blockchain like they want to. I mean, know your horses kind of kills me because now that all my information is there, thanks guys, and a nice little spreadsheet for them on how many horses I've sold and everything. So, but when it comes to like the general NFT space, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to hide it. I think it's more about manipulating floors and pushing value to projects, right? Like too many times we saw with like pudgy penguins, we saw with winter bears that these bots come in, buy and push up the floor. I read a Bloomberg article about a month and a half ago where it said 45% of the transactions were basically flagged as fraudulent by this investigation company, and additional 10% were if, it's maybe. So I just think it's really easy because there's people that have like 10,000 Ethereum in their bag because they bought it when it was way down whenever. So it's like when I look at a horse, because I'm invested in about 50 different blockchains, and I got a bunch of, like, some of them I got 40, 50, 100,000 tokens in. So if they get to anything half the price of Ethereum, I would go into the marketplace and see a horse for 8 or 11, and I'd be like, does it fucking matter? Because in my mind, an ETH is an ETH, and it doesn't really impact my pocket at the end of the day. So maybe they went in, they saw that was the most highly, recently priced horse with Sentinel as an example. And they said, oh, I'll, because I think it was listed for like 11 and no one bought it. And then they offered like 11. I don't remember the exact numbers, but maybe they saw that being, I got enough money, I'll just buy it. Right. Because there's a lot of people like that. And it's very easy to wash your coins, right? Like Tumblr's okay and all that, but it's way easier just to move Monero and right back by using a decentralized exchange like Simple Swap or Atomic Swaps, right? Like everyone should be able to have the ability to kind of hide their money because the blockchain is public. I don't think it's necessarily, money laundering to clean your coins at the end of the day. Right? It's still kind of ill-defined on how you use them afterwards. But yeah, I think privacy, and there's a lot of privacy-centric blockchains I invest in that it's necessary at the end of the day. And are they washing it? And probably sometimes, but I think they're more manipulating the market than they are, because there's easier ways to hide your profits and wash your coins and say you lost them or hacked or anything like that.
Yeah, they're gonna have a fun time these next few years during tax season. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and I love that a lot of the people in the space that are enjoying their flipping, most of them don't know that a lot of states recognize the flip as a taxable event. So every time you buy a horse and sell it, that sell is it doesn't matter if you go back to USD or stay in Ethereum, it's a sale and you have tax on it in a lot of places. So all these flippers are going to, have to start taking their name off their wallet and like doing all that good stuff. Yeah. It'll happen eventually, but no, there's going to be investigations. Right. You don't get to make this much money and people won't notice and wonder like, how's that working? And right, you get Jordan Belfort, right? Belforted before you know it. So right. It's just how it goes, but there's a lot of money to be made and, there's going to be manipulation because of that. That's what my wife said, because she's just now getting into NFTs and she was watching Wolf of Wall Street with a new understanding. And she's like, man, we're just hustling pink sheets. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, it's all pink sheets. Yeah, we get 50% of the profit though, right? Like,
yeah. So being in Zed for a minute and seeing all these partnerships, which one's your favorite and why?
Atari is the best in my opinion, just because it's not just bringing in their own brands. Like you have Budweiser, they bring in, AB and Bev, they bring in Stella. They bring in the NASCAR, you get some skins, right? But at the end of the day, there's actual games and creative utility that can be leveraged from Atari. Like when we look at their Atari racetrack, you got Space Invaders on the background. And on top of that, just not the IP from Atari, we have the Atari Hotels being built all over the country. So they're leveraging and positioning themselves to be an esports gaming hotel. They're building one in Las Vegas on the Strip. They're building 2 in the United Arab Emirates right now, another great horse racing country, right? They love that over there too. So what their goal is to be the esports gaming hotel all across the nation where we go to watch our Zed Run horses. And I think that would be amazing. And they're also building casinos in the metaverse and are building their own metaverse platform right now. So it'll be separate from all of the Sandbox and Decentraland. So what they're really doing is diving in on this esports, and I think that's has a great potential. Right, you can use your Atari token to buy your hotel rooms at Atari Hotels when they open. They've already announced that, so they're really a great company and changing and going from the original video games to the new frontier of video games, I think it's awesome. And bringing that IP. Yeah.
And it's cool to see,
Oh,
right? Like that they're conscious of what's going on, and that they're trying to rebrand themselves and make themselves a player in the next age of Web3.
And they're really making some great partnerships. Decentral Games, I don't know, DG Coin, if you've seen them,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually a part of BlackRock Bitcoin. So the largest Bitcoin holder that we know of publicly is backing Decentral Games, which is a partner of Atari in these casinos. So with those kind of partnerships, I'm super excited about Atari.
Yeah, and that's cool that you're gonna be able to spend that Atari token in the hotel, because I've noticed with hotels in Las Vegas, they just had the Resorts World casino, and that one is like crypto only, I believe. Like you can't even use
That's
cash
awesome.
if you're trying to pay for a meal. So it's coming, right? Like we're really early, but we're starting to see it out in like the real world.
Yep. No, and it's just a matter of time, right? Because like I lived in China for a bit, and over there, everyone uses just their phone to pay for everything. You have a QR code at 7-Eleven and you scan it and it pays automatically. Or you have a QR on your phone and they scan it and it pays automatically. So that kind of technology is already being leveraged across the world, not so much in the United States. So once we get to faster transaction speeds, it'll just be a natural next step that we stop using cash and card and everything.
Okay, so then when it really comes down to it, do you think we have true ownership of these horses? Like that we can sell. Well, I mean, they kind of changed it with the terms and conditionings, right? So, like, how do you feel about the ownership of Supreme Polarity? Do you think that you have true ownership? Can you go sell shirts with that horse? Like, do we have that in this game?
Um, we used to. It's hard. I'm ready to see what they say about these terms and conditions, but I've already gotten in trouble for that kind of stuff before, right? When the Preakness horses came out, I started trouble by having taken the Preakness horse, and I said to Ebbs, I was like, "Yo, can I make a Preakness Zed T-shirt and sell it before the race?" He said, "It's decentralized, right?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." So I went and paid a guy to make it a nice big image and put it on a shirt and start selling it. And the Preakness got upset with me
Mm,
and called Zed and said he needs to take that down. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I'll take it down. It's not a big deal. It cost me like $100 to get this image. Who cares? It's gas fees at the end of the day. So, right.
yeah.
I was like, all right. And now I have questions. What does it mean to own this Preakness horse compared to Supreme Polarity? And that's where my first real big rub with the Zed team came, because I was like, as a decentralized, blockchain background guy, my ethos is ownership. And without true ownership, do we even have freedom? Because if you don't own your shit, then someone else owns you, because you can't even move out of your house and have any money.
Mm.
Right. So there's no ownership, there's no freedom. And I told him, look, what does it mean if I can't make this? Can the person that buys this horse make it? Because I was going to share the profits. I already told the team I was going to share the Preakness t-shirt profits with the person that owned the horse when they bought it from auction, which turned out to be a year. And he was okay with me making the shirts too. But still, the Preakness said no. So these kind of IP things are going to be a big aspect of it. I do think I have more ownership over my horse, Supreme Polarity, than they do over anything that's skinned or branded and named. But at the end of the day, if we can't use these horses outside of the ecosystem because there's no metadata printed on the blockchain to leverage, it doesn't matter if we own it in or outside the game. It's just an asset within this gameplay for now, right? I think there'll be more utility cases in the future, especially with partnerships with Sandbox and the Decentraland, where maybe you want your horses to wander around your stable at your place, right? Maybe you want that to happen. I think that kind of stuff will be in the future, but right now, our ownership is limited to the platform. And I own the token 100%, and I can sell it and I can burn it. I can do whatever I want to it, but I can't do anything gameplay wise without their platform, which is centralized at the end of the day. So
Okay.
I wish we had more ownership, but we are limited by the ecosystem we're participating in.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we had more ownership as well, but that's on the Zed side. So now if we go to like the government side, um, is this gambling, or is this like horse ownership to where we're studying our competition, choosing our distance, and to where there's skill, or is this gambling? Because like I live in a jurisdiction to where online gambling's illegal. So if they ever tried to crack down on this, Like we would have to have a defense that like, no, we own these horses. There's strategy to this game. So what do we got there?
I think Zed did their best to cover for us in the terms and conditions where they explicitly state this is a game of skill, right? And if that's in the terms and conditions, we can leverage that. And I think another aspect of this game we can leverage to say it's not gambling is that Ethereum, and Bitcoin are not considered currencies. They're assets. So can we gamble assets? Are we gambling assets? Can you do that? Right. So there's a lot of nuances to will this be viewed in which jurisdiction, if this will be gambling or not, right? Do they view it as a currency? Do they view it as a game of skill? How important it is to them about being provably fair, all that sorts of stuff. But it'll come up in regulation eventually. It's already starting with know your KYC, know your customers. That's why they're asking where we live and having us sign these terms and conditions, right? It's the beginning of know your customer, which allows them to operate much more fluidly in different jurisdictions, especially in America with the interstate commerce laws. You really need it.
Gotcha. So how do you think they go about gambling with each jurisdiction being different? Do you think that they have to wait for like the US to just legalize gambling as a whole to jump in that market? Like how would they do that? Because if we do have gambling in Zed, some people wouldn't be able to participate due to where they live.
Yeah, I think we'll see kind of a black market gambling aspect to Zed at the end of the day for those jurisdictions where you can come in anonymously and use your Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. I think there will be third-party platforms that do leverage the data in that way that give opportunities. But if you want to be an above board gambler in the United States, I'm sure they'll get licensed in the Nevada State Gaming Commission, right? You want to be in Las Vegas, you want that to be the hub, and then you kind of leverage the servers and locations from there to do what you got to do, right? At the end of the day, we all got VPNs, so there's always a loop around for the end user. But for when it comes to Zed, I think it'll definitely be licensing in Nevada and going from there. And I'm sure there's some commission in Australia that's, I mean, I imagine that they're knocking down the door of Zed Run, especially now that they have the type of investment and user base they do, to say, what are you doing? Is this gambling? Right? Because like you said, it's still so early that it's ill-defined.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to like put a pin on exactly what we're doing here, but I would argue it's not gambling because if you know your horse, you know the distance, you know your competition, you're studying the fields. That sounds pretty strategic to me, you know?
Yeah. And it seems like, to me at least, right, that horses stay relative to comp. So if you run the same race over and over again, it kind of, I'm sure you get the same pattern of finishing eventually. If you do like 1,000 simulations on these 12 horses, it would probably come out to a pretty good pattern where you could say, look, that's a game of skill. Because if someone could find this pattern and leverage the information within the game, then yeah, it's a game of skill, right? I think a lot of the data guys are proving that by looking at, oh, this is the fire. If you go to know your horses, right, that's the one I like to use. It's how much fire do they have at this distance, at this class, and how much fire do they typically have in this class? And maybe you can see that they're not running at the preferred distance, and you can scout the competition. I think it's a huge part of the game. I do have questions I have thought about that I haven't voiced yet, that they've said that they want to create this kind of auto entry where you say, oh, I want this distance at this whatever with this horse. That kind of feels a little bit more like gambling, erring on the side of gambling, where you're really not putting the thought and effort in to say, this is there's not enough ownership over the choice, where I kind of worry that there might be some problems in the future, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe that's just the free race automation. You never know what they might do, right? Like Ebbs has said many times that this game is only at 20% of development, right? We have a whole lot more that's going to be added to it, and it's going to be fun to watch it come to fruition.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see like all these different stuff come out. Like one thing that I want to see, and I want to know your thoughts on, is renting horses and renting out horses. What do you want to see as that mechanism? Like, would you want to see just someone pay a fee to come rent, or that they just get a percentage of the winnings?
It's hard to say, right? I think that renting out horses is going to be one of the choppiest community acceptances, I think. right? Because if you rent it out to someone that's racing your horse poorly and it's ruining its record and tanking its ability to be rented out in the future, how do you pull that horse back? How do you reprimand that person? How do you create a rating system to know that, oh, that person's not a good racer, you shouldn't be renting your horse out to that? I think there's so much that goes into renting horses outside of just, splitting up the money, that I think it's farther off than people think. I hope it's sooner than later, but you could lose a lot of value in a horse by someone renting it and running it poorly.
So would you like to see like parameters set? Like you can rent Supreme Polarity, but you can only race her at 1,600 meters and $10 and up or something like that. So then they can only go and do that and not like intently fuck up your horse or something like that.
Yep. I think that's a really good way of doing it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what is Zed School, and just what is Zed School? Because I've noticed that you and Dr. Ian, you guys got a really good show.
Yeah, it's I wanted to do a show with Dr. Ian because he was around in the community a lot more a year ago, and I want him to get credit for the Zed Gazette stuff that we did too, because he put a lot of hours and beers and blunts into it with me. And so I wanted to and I know people don't always read the articles. People aren't always readers at the end of the day. And I wanted to kind of make the content more digestible for people who want to watch streams or listen to podcasts or things like that. So we basically just take older articles and review them and talk about how we came up with the theories that we used to come up, say, this is a perfectly fair game. This is why it was important to us, this and that. Right. So just to kind of give more detailed information than 300 words would be at the end of the day, so it's been a lot of fun. Dr. Ian is wanting to transition it to more of like a crypto generalized thing, but I think I got him for at least another 4 or 5 more episodes. We'll see, but I'll just have to write some more articles so then he has to keep participating. But it's been fun so far.
How does Dr. Ian feel about the current state of Zed? Is he still playing, still breeding? Does he feel good? Because I've heard that you've had to walk him back from ledges sometimes. So is he on the ledge?
I had to do
right
it this morning.
Okay.
Yeah, this morning. Yeah. He's like, what is all this shit with Inside Trading? Like, oh my God, man. All right. Like, so I had to fill him in. I had an hour phone call with him this morning, filling him in on what's been going on. But he's like, should we sell? I'm like, no, no one to sell to right now. Like, they gotta fix the game a little bit and create more demand and more, utility for these horses before we can, if you want to sell. But he has an amazing stable, right? Because we went around and started collecting, because twins was a big part of my theory that they took away. It's really about creating these family trees that branch apart that you can fold back into each other, right? That's where you get those fourth cousins that can now do the line breeding. So what we did was we went around to the best horses and bought twins off of them. So we used to have twins off Breathless Edge before, 2 pairs of twins off Breathless Edge before there was a mistake on OpenSea with the GUI. But we have 3 sets of twins off Super Spirit. I think we have a set of twins off Billions. We got a set of twins off No Way. We just have all of these legendary twin sets from some of these great horses that we were collecting. So once we can find a way to experiment with the Booterins and kind of leverage the DNA down the line, we'll bring those horses back into the breeding barn, but we're not going to experiment on $500, $400 a pop for some exclusive and stuff. Right. So, so he's definitely taking a break, but I think he'll be back in the Fibonacci Cup this time. His stables are Helm's Deep and I don't know, another lame Lord of the Rings reference. He's always trying to get me and be like, oh, it's awesome. No, it sucks. He'll be back, but it's really we're just kind of waiting for, because that's what you're talking about. This game really hasn't changed in a year. The actual gameplay, we got tournaments now, we got fatigue, but outside of that, it's the same game we were playing in January of last year. So we're looking at it as like, he wants to have more new content to create because there's new gameplay modes, new breeding strategies, new something that's working. But he'll be back for sure at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he'll be back as well, especially if you can keep pulling him back off the edge. But you touched on something that I heard you say very on, but I can't articulate it myself. Why is Billions special? Like, what's the Easter egg around Billions?
So Billions is the original 1 of 1 color. So a couple of years ago, they said that, I can't remember if it was going to be 50 or 100 unique 1 of 1 colors. So Billions color is Fortune. There's no other Fortune color horses in the game except for that one messed up drop. where they dropped like 4 of them, and the owner had just bought it for 120 grand, and he was pissed. Like, yeah, I just bought this horse because it's 1 of 1. Now you just dropped 3 more. What is this? So that was a whole thing. But yeah, so Easter egg on that was he was actually dropped on Easter. And so one of the fun theories we had was like maybe it's a hint at how many 1s, 0s or lines of code or something within the game, right? Because they do drop Easter eggs into a lot of the stuff they did back in the day. But yeah, he's just a unique color that was purposely brought into the game, which kind of gives you some ideas that they are putting good, unique colors with good horses, since we do see his performance and see some of the breeding lineage that have come off him. But yeah, he's a special horse. And a fun fact is there's actually a second unique color horse that was sent to someone that they purchased, and that horse is gone. No one knows where the wallet is. No one knows who owns it. And there's a unique color lost to the wild already out there. So, yeah. So when we're looking at these skins with the Atari horse and stuff, I think those might be some of the unique 1 of 1s that they were talking about, because they don't really bring it up anymore. But we'll see how it goes in the future. They're running out of special horses at the end of the day. There's only about 50 Z1s through Z4s left. And if they're going to be making these unique colors, they better get on it, because that's half the population.
So you said that there was another horse that was dropped in the same color. So I want to touch on that a little bit for anybody that's new. So that means that the characteristics and everything about these horses is not baked into them. It's the algorithm reading them. So someone, because I heard you guys say that the horse that has the same color as Billions, if you go look at like the API, it's still the same color on there, but it's just red different on the background.
Yeah. So once they pull it and they randomize it from the back end, it's stuck like that on the actual horse, right? That's where it's kind of immutable. So even though it shows a different color, yeah, it does show on the back end that it is still Fortune. Which is, it makes me feel good at the end of the day when that they couldn't change that part of the horse on the back end. They can just change the representation of it within the ecosystem. So it does give some validity and hope to they're not changing things really that much, if they're not even willing to change Fortune on the back end.
Gotcha. And so if I gave you half an ETH to start your stable right now, like you studied the game, but you had no horses to go get, what would you get with half an ETH at this current market?
I don't even know what the market's like anymore. I haven't sold a horse in a minute. So I'd say, for anyone jumping in new and they don't have any horses, make your mistakes on a Booterin, learn your lessons and start from there, is my opinion, right? We're not finding a lot of success. Some people getting consistent returns on Booterins breeding, they've bred 3 times the same horse and they're looking the same. But those mistakes can kind of be forgiven when it's a $100 breeding fee, right? Because if you go in and you get a Finney or you get a Sazabo or a Nakamoto, your breeding fees are going to be reflective of that initial cost, right? So it costs $80 to breed a Booterin to experiment with. It'll cost you $100 for a Finney, $300 or $250 for a Sazabo, $400 for a Nakamoto. So if you're really looking at this for an entry game to experience the whole ecosystem, I would stick with a Booterin just so it's easier participation, right? You're not going to get pushed up as quickly into the higher class races where you're getting slaughtered by bred, Sazabos and Nakamotos. You'll stay down in class 4 and 5, hopefully, and get some good experience.
Okay, cool. And then if you could change one thing to Zed, you had the keys to Zed. If you could take away flames, bring back odds, change the class system, take away fatigue, whatever you want, you can change one thing. What would you change?
I miss odds. I miss odds so much, right? Because that's where I have Dr. Mead and I came up with a way we kind of figured out how odds worked, where the fluctuations within the odds, and I could predict them depending on which horses are in there. So, and the way we were doing that was by cracking the base value of the horses within the odds system. So if a horse has a base value of X, it gives a certain range of possible odds depending on the horses in that race. So that's how we used to figure out base value of horses. But now the odds is gone, I can't really do that anymore. So now I'm just like shooting blind, and I wish I had my base values back that I was getting to play with. Because really I was stacking family trees of really low base values and hoping that they would kind of combine to make something good. But a 14 odds horse can have a good base value at the end of the day. It just could be a bad version of that base value. So there's a spectrum of it, right? One day I'll break that down. I've explained it to a few people. It's a bit complicated. I need definitely a whiteboard because I was a teacher of English in China, so I'm much better with that visuals. But in the future, I'll break down how we found base value through odds. We used to call it T-score.
Okay. Is that just kind of like your horse is pulling low odds and one horse in that race is getting spiked up or something? So you're saying if you're spiking people and you're pulling low odds?
No, it's more about like why a horse can have 4 odds in one race at one distance, and the next race it has 32 odds at the same distance and relatively comparable. I can explain why that fluctuation in range is created.
Okay. Is it because of the competition, or is it just because the horse itself is very?
It's about the competition and the base value of those horses. So if like a strong base value horse is in there, it could look like the same odds, but the base value can be different and push that other horse way out farther. So it's about the comparative base values and the impact it has on the other horse's movement on odds. So yeah, a horse having 4 odds and having 32 odds is well within the range of certain base value of horses.
Gotcha. And how are you using flames to your advantage right now? Even though you don't like them, how do you view flames?
It helps a lot with distance preference, right? At the end of the day, like with Supreme Polarity as an example, she has 7 odds, 5, 7, 8 odds across every distance. So at the end of the day, you're like, I don't really, she finishes first in all of them. So I really didn't know what odds distance she was, but I knew that the field of competition at sprinters was much weaker than it was at mid runners and marathoners, where you got grandeurs and breathless edges and Slander Unlimiteds. Right? All I had was billions down there and Alive After 5 to mess with. So I just go down there and was wrecking shop with Supreme Polarity at a 25% win rate. But that's not her distance at all. She's a 1,800, 2,000, 2,400 horse. And it just showed so much more clearly in odd through flames than it did in odds. So I think that's a real benefit of odds, is the distance preference.
And do you care if you don't flame because you still have a chance at winning, and it's just like you're less likely to place?
I enjoy getting them at the end of the day, right? Okay. I've been trained now. It's been enough months where I'm like, fuck, no flames, right? Like, especially in the Buterin level, right? When you're up in the Nakamoto's, Szabos, it's not that, you still have a pretty good chance, but with those Buterins, if you don't get flames, you're not looking that hot at the end of the day. And that's where I'm doing a lot of my experimenting, right? Just trying to find what an average user's experience is in Zed, and flames can be really meaningful down there.
What do you think? Okay, so I want to touch on that a little bit. What is the average user's experience from your perspective right now? Is it fun? Is it not fun? Are we losing money? What are we doing? They're
losing money, and it's tough. Right? It's tough the barrier to entry is so high, not just on just blockchain experience, right? You got to know how to bridge over to Polygon from Ethereum, and then Zed's making it more confusing by not using the right terminology on their website. It's not wrapped ETH, it's Polygon ETH. There's such thing as wrapped Ethereum on the Polygon network. That's not Polygon ETH, right? So just the level of entry from the blockchain experience is difficult. If you could buy with a credit card on OpenSea, or if you could buy on a credit card within Zed Marketplace, that really cuts that down. But on top of that, you have to really study the data. You have to know the horses. Like, I look at the field of competition and I know most of the horses at this point from playing so long. And I'm like, okay, I can beat those horses, and I throw Supreme in. Or I look in there, I'm like, oh, that's 3 horses that I'm going to be really jousting for first place, but I don't want to mess with that. I can wait till next time. But the average user doesn't have that knowledge to go, okay, here's the standard deviation of speed, time, blah, 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 blah. It's too much at the end of the day. It needs to be easier for people to be good at the game. And that's always been my complaint about when they started raising the prices astronomically on horses. I was like, this is the price of a car. And most of these horses don't run. And you're not telling people how to make better horses. I'm going to give away my theories on what I think, because it's based on real life and I've done the research. So that's why I gave away all of my indoctrination and stuff. Because I went to him, I said, I don't think the game's going to work. If people come in, they buy a $13,000 horse, it doesn't run, and then they breed more shitty horses. What are they going to do if they don't have a plan after that? I kind of see that's where we are right now, because as much as I want my breeding stuff to work, the close-in breeding is not working. I'm fine with saying that. But it's really about creating utility for every horse within the ecosystem is what I'm trying to do, right? I'm not necessarily trying to, I want to be right. I just want it to work for the game. Because if the game doesn't work as a breeding game, then all of these horses that don't race have no use, right? Where breeding, you can leverage bad horses, make a new racer. You could make that argument to people, right? But right now without a breeding strategy, and a lot of people are thinking it's random or the GA doesn't really extend past the legendary level successfully. We can see in the marketplace that people aren't purchasing because they don't have a belief that they can make better horses. So once I've explicitly told the Zed team, we need help. Right? I don't care if I'm right or if I'm wrong. We need some help, because if we can't leverage bad horses to make better horses similar to real life, then we are in a hard place for new users.
What kind of help do you think we need? Do you think we need them to give us some tips on breeding? Do we need a glue system? What do we need?
I think some tips would be nice, right? Glue system's good for the overall supply shock, where you could actually, you need that to happen. I've been talking about that with them since January of this year, because this alpaca game did a burning mechanism for wool long before the sheep game did it. So it's kind of funny that they did it now. Yeah, I've brought it up to them before, and at first they're like, no, we don't want to do that. And they're slowly starting to make a transition to being more open towards it. But I told them, like, if we could just go in the breeding barn and I say, I want to breed this mare, give me some hints, say recommended breeding buddy, rub on this horse. If you have the ability to give us those kind of hints to help us be better breeders, then let's do that. Because at this point, we are making bad horses after bad horses after bad horses. And 3% at 0.1 profit is not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. So if I'm that new guy and I'm playing the low budget, how do I give myself an edge? What are some things I can do to give myself an edge?
Within the gameplay, that's going to be difficult, I think, but I think the community is where that edge lies, right? Get into Centribus Stables Discord, jump in Doofy's Discord, jump in any of these side Pony Plug where they offer these kind of help. MJ Stables, right? Hit up these guys that are known within the community and just kind of introduce yourself. And I'm sure they're more than willing to help, right? I've helped out a lot of people. I'm not as good as I am 6 months ago or a year ago, right? After so long and being in the game and just so much, but there's a lot of community members that can be leveraged for that edge. And I don't know if there's something within the gameplay that they can do. But community members and the stack knocks, the know your horses, all those kind of things, like you got to use it at the end of the day. Okay. But yeah, it's definitely community based for me.
And if I'm going and buying that Buterin, is there a certain Z number that you stop looking at?
No, I hope that one day Z number is kind of looked at as it doesn't matter, right? Because if we can have Z70 Buterins that are inbred properly, that have the leverage DNA, then, because I've had conversations with the team, like, honestly, I don't think Z number matters in the long run. And they've kind of like, well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I haven't gotten a confirmation for it, but yeah, eventually I hope that it doesn't matter. But right now I would stay below Z30 just for experimentation, because you don't want to get a horse that's Z45 and you're just like running into 12th place, and you're someone like me who I'm like, okay, this is a piece in my puzzle. I can hold on to this stupid $80 horse. Fuck it. It's a piece of the puzzle for me in my experimentation. But for the average user, they're not looking at it like that. They want to have fun on that horse. So I would definitely stay below Z30 right now, just with the way the marketplace is. But hopefully in the future, all Z numbers kind of have their own place if bred properly.
Yeah, I agree. So last question for you, man. If you had unlimited budget, you can pick any horse in the game. You get one horse. What horse and why?
I would want Supreme, but since I already have her, I like Barack from Good Boys. I think Barack is a beast. She's a Z1 mare. She pounds at every distance too, except the shorts. But that's just an awesome horse at the end of the day. So, and the Good Boys are a good team. I like them. So yeah, I definitely go Barack.
Sweet. You got any questions for me, man?
No, man, I appreciate you letting me come on. And you ever want me back up, just shoot me. Oh, and I owe you a horse for a giveaway for missing last week. So if you want to tweet it out, I'll send it over and give it to your community.
Yeah, I got you. We'll do a giveaway. There's 22 people in here in chat, so we'll do like a little random Twitter retweet or something, and then so we'll make sure people in here can get that. But ZG, thank you so much, man. I've learned a lot from you just listening to Zed School, listening to your Twitter Spaces. Everything you've put a lot of information out there, and like you guys said, you guys had this knowledge and information, and us new players, like, we really appreciate that because it helps us a lot getting into the game. Also, What you guys have something coming up for like the Women of Zed's Twitter Spaces? You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah. So I think a big part of growing the ecosystem for Zed is bringing onboarding new players, like I brought up before, and we just need more diversity. And women is a good first step, right? We have some great team members on the Zed team. Joe Money. I don't know if people are saying it Joe Dollar, but it's Joe Money. Is Joe Dayco. She's going to be coming on. She's going to be my co-host, and we're going to be having the new head of user experience coming on. So I think she's the one behind the, might be getting some dashboards. So we can maybe get some questions there, but really just making it more of an inclusive place for women where they don't have to hear locker room talk when they're in the Zed general about what's going on in the breeding barn and that kind of stuff, right? Just making it a friendlier space. So we're going to do that Thursday night with Joe Money and have some of the women's stables up. Sunday, I'm working on getting Lindsay, who was the partner who brought in AB InBev with Stella to Zed Run. She said she's going to come on. Just we're going to confirm it. And then Kathy Hackle, she's the godmother of the metaverse or the grandmother of the metaverse. She's been helping develop backend stuff for like 5 years now. She should be on Sunday with me. She's reached out to the Zed team, says she wants to join. So just kind of bringing in different communities on Sunday. And then next week, Pony Plug tournament for women, and Zed Retro Racing is going to do a women's race calling tournament. So just trying to give some more avenues for women to participate. So
That's awesome, man. Where can people contact you at and then watch your content at?
Yeah, I'm always available on Zed Gazette at Zed Gazette on Twitter, and zedgazette.com. You can find almost everything. There's a bunch of articles, some older ones, some stuff that explained how DES was going to work with their bonding curve. If anyone's curious, I know there's always some questions about DES, but I explained how that was planning to work back in the day. But yeah, zedgazette.com and at zedgazette for Twitter. So
cool. Last question. When do you think we get DES? In this next year?
Probably 6 months.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah. Not that bad. Because there's never been a in-game token deployed on the Polygon network. So just like them migrating to Polygon as the first project ever from Ethereum, them opening up their own token is going to be a brand new horizon. So you can't rush those kind of things to make sure you get it right. Especially we've seen all these stupid games with like wolf and bears come out that are just dying because they didn't do it right. And there's all these flaws. So yeah, I think it'll be within the 6 months, but that's just my hope.
Sweet. Yeah, I hope we get it in 6 months as well. But thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man. No problem.
Have a
good
day,
one.
Bro. Yep. Yo. What up? Let me pull up chat over here. Pull this over here. I see you guys' chats during the stream. It's just sometimes I'm trying to keep the flow of the conversation going, and if I look at the chat, I'll forget my question, and then I get stuck, and I'll be like, I don't remember what to say. But I see your guys' questions most of the time. So product updates. Our next tournament will be the Fibonacci Cup 2.0. Drum roll, please. Our next tournament will be blah, blah, blah. Here is the details. Qualifications is based on average points. It will be broken up into 2 tournaments. The 2 tournaments will have their own prize pools. 192 racehorses will qualify for each of the 2 tournaments. The finals racing structure will echo that of our previous tournaments. Free races will remain for the tournament and count towards qualification. Racehorses will now only run 25 races in a specific distance funnel to have a chance to qualify. All the tournament info is here. Happy racing. How you guys feel about that? Waltz, what up, big dog? All good, man. Great host. Thank you. What up, Golden? What up, Avon? What up, Retro? What's good, Genesis? What's up, Bot Lady? What up, everybody? What up? Diamonds is stuck in stud right now. Your boy is broke. I got $0 in here. I'm gonna have to load up for stable duels tonight. Yep. So we got about 5 more hours till we get out of stud. All my other horses are in stud. If you guys want some Diamonds blood, he's a Colt Z4 exclusive. He's a Z6 Elite. These guys are in for minimum, those 2, and then Everybody over here, Diamonds is in for like 0.25. I don't mind it. I like the 25 race change. I like it as well, right? I mean, it's just you don't gotta race as much. A little less, exactly. Just those last 5 races, like especially if you're doing good when you get down to like 25 races. When it was 30, it's like, man, these last 5 races mean a lot. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing now with 25, because you're going to be at 20 races and be like, damn, these last 5 races are going to mean a lot. But I mean, it's not that you have 10 to go. If you guys want me to look at some horses, I can do that. If not, we'll probably just call it a day. We'll be back to racing tomorrow on stream after the interview. We'll have Crimson on tomorrow. Talk about the Crimson Chin. We'll talk about his new show that he's got going on with Zook. And yeah, I'm sorry about the mic early in the interview. I'm still working on that problem. But yeah, I think hopefully it was loud enough to where you guys could at least hear. Yeah, I'm now looking at it, and it's showing that it's coming out super quiet. Are you on the Riot Racers whitelist? I am on the whitelist. Let's go look. So I'll tell you guys a play I made. Here, I'll show you. Riot.fun. All right. I'll tell you how my few days have been, and I'll give you the update tomorrow on how my play is. Okay, so if we go to Marketplace, I had like 0.4 ETH just chilling. Are you on? You could hear? You can hear? Oh, okay, cool. You could hear. All right. That's good. So if we go to the Riot Marketplace, all right, right here, driver whitelist, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So tomorrow, I need to have 0.07 if I want to get a driver. Now, if we go to OpenSea, we are investigating. We'll be back soon. Click. What happened to OpenSea? Want to look at my new baby? Yeah, sure. Are you planning to mint 10? I don't have enough for 10. Are you giving a? Yeah, I'll give your horse a look in a second. 1 second though. So I bought these. There's like the wolf game, the bear game, blah blah blah. I bought these. They're the fox game. I wanted to flip them yesterday. I bought mine for like 0.19. They still haven't released their user interface, kind of like Zed Gazette was saying, like with the bear game and all that stuff. They dropped fucked up interfaces, but this one hasn't had a fucked up interface. I'm still looking to flip it and get out of it and get some drivers in the morning. But yeah, I'm already getting airdrop 3 drivers, so I'm not really too worried. Like I got this one, I'll get airdrop 1 for this one, and then I'll get another airdrop. But yeah. So if I can flip out of that Fox game in the morning, I'll buy some more drivers at 7 a.m. Remy Ruckus. All right. Avon Field Stables. 14% win rate. Let's go look at the horseshoe. He looks pretty solid at 2,000 meter. Really solid. I'm good, dude. I would just keep doing what you're doing. Maybe come here to see if you. Whoa. I mean, I would test out 2,200 meters a little bit more since you have 100% flame rate and you've placed, just to see if it kind of looks like this one, to see if these two look the same. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Stick with the 2,000 meter. And what class are you in? You're in class 1 now. You're still winning in 2,000 meter. Yeah, bro, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. This looks like a good horse. Yeah, class 2, second, first, third, first. Yeah, bro, you're killing it. Keep it up. What up, Chicago Stables? Hello, happiness. Genesis Horses looks like a good horse. Okay, a lot of places right here. I would test out this a lot more just to see if you can run this up some more. I would test these out. Test out I would run a lot more 1200s to see if you can keep up this 100% flame rate, but you're flaming 100%, you're winning quite a bit. Yeah, man, this looks like a really, really good horse in the making. You're flaming, dude. You're flaming in class 1 at 1,000. This looks like a good horse. Now, are these free races? Yeah, they're free. I mean, you still flamed in class 2 in a paid race. Yeah, this looks like a good horse, dude. Class 1. 1,000-meter, you're still flaming even though you didn't win right here, but yeah, it still looks like a good horse. Are you sliding to Discord after? Yeah, I'll hop in there, Golden Glow. Can you look at Thaden Arena? Did I spell that right? The tan? The tan? Is it just the tan? Is it just this horse? Ripto Farm? The last 3 days of racing has done me well. Paid racing or tournament racing, homie? Chicago Stables. All paid as well, which I like. Yeah, man. Let me go back to Avon. Yeah, all paid. All paid. You're killing it, dude. Keep it up. Keep it up. Because, I mean, even when you get out of the tournament, you'll still be fine because I mean, you're not flaming as much up in a higher class, but you're still winning and placing. That's really all that matters. No, it's a new game. Haha. Okay, gotcha. Paid only. The last 3 days. Nice. How much have you made, Chicago? How much you made? I'm broke right now. Your boy's broke. But look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is just beautiful right here. I bought in like right around here is when I bought Riot Token. And that shit's up. Is up. Let's go. Let's go. Right here you see my broke ass. I'm going to have to take out like $40 to have to pay bills today. But yeah, we got some Riot Token. I'm ready for when these car upgrades come out. I'm going to have quite a bit. Can you also check out my horse, Butte Jack Miss? I got him in a giveaway, and he seems good, but I don't know if that's just because the field was weaker lately or if he's actually a good horse. And Chicago Stable says, left a lot of money on the table, only racing mostly $5 the last couple months. Should have ran 10 to 15. Hey, you know, everybody's got to make their mistakes. Nice, you're making a nice 10x here. Yeah, bro, it's nice, and I'm holding this too, just because it's more of a utility token than an investment for me because I'm gonna be able to upgrade my cars. But yeah, I can go look at that horse. I've made that same mistake though, Chicago Stables. What's the name of the horse? Because if it's a U-shaped horse, then yeah, with those horses you gotta go big money. Because when you lose, you'll lose, and that sucks. But when you win, you want to win those big money. And if you're getting your wins in like those $5 or $10, it sucks. But it also sucks to lose $25 back to back. But once you win one $25, like you're good. You know what I'm saying? You said check out Butte Jack Mist. $530 ranch, 21% win rate. You're pulling flames at a good meter. This looks really solid right here, left leaning. I would definitely keep up it at 1400 meters. Let's go see if this is paid racing. Let's see. Okay, so not as much in paid racing. You're still pulling 100% flames in your paid races, but for right now, I would stick with the free races at 1400 meters. Like for this next Fibonacci Cup, for example, I would go here for this next tournament and just run free races. Let's see what you're doing. Yeah, you're running free races. You're running 1400 meters. You're up in class 2, 11, 5, 6, 11. Huh. Interesting. Hopefully we can pull out some more ones at the 1400 meter. But yeah, it just looks like you need a little bit more data maybe on these two just to see what these start to look like. But yeah, keep it up right here. I think you're doing a good job. Look at Ancestral Blessing, a bunch of us. Ancestral Blessing. Z20 Finny Elite, 17.9% win rate, 0.1. Hey, 0.17 profit. Nice. It's looking like this horse has a down button. So let's see. Let's go to the horseshoe. Okay, U shape at 1400 meters. Looks pretty strong at 1200 if you draw it out more. See if we can get some more here. But yep, right here. This looks like 1600 meters looks like the down button. 1400 meters looks like just a pure U shape if you play it out. This is potentially another down button or a U shape if you play it out more. Play this out some more to see if this is still left leaning or if it turns into a U shape. Yeah, it looks like a high variance horse, or it just has a down button right here. I'm thinking this is a down button, this is a U shape, this is probably going to be a U shape, and this will probably be a U shape. So I would, if you want to go down in class, you're going to have to do paid racing at 1600 meter and potentially go big money at 1200 meter, 14, and 2000. And I'll test this out more to see if it stays right leaning or if it starts to U shape out and balance out. Got to figure out the hot streak on the us. A bunch of us. Okay. Are you guys saying the horse's name is us? Or what are we saying? A bunch of us can even get down these days anymore. Can't even. Leroy, you got a race? Let's look him up. Okay, let me just type him up over here. Actually, here. Okay, let's look. 0.09, you almost got him to 0.1 profit. Homie's a U shape. Let's look. 2400 meters looks really good. It looks like a really steep U shape. So if I was gonna go big money races, I'd go big money at 2400 meters. I would personally just test this out to see if it's still like if this turns out to be a down distance right here. So if you get a bunch of these stacked up, I would use this as a down distance. But if it starts to U shape out, then just that's a 50-50. Potentially a U shape play. I'd say a lot of these need more racing done to them, but this is like good right here. Like if this was me, I'd go big money on this. I'd go big money on this distance. This one and like maybe 16 personally, just because you have so much wins, but it's also like a quarter flip. You know what I'm saying? Does a pay point start with B than A? Yeah, it starts with the lower. You'll see the lower grand finals will run before the A ones. Could you look at Jeremiah Johnson if you get a chance? I got you. Awesome, sounds good. Thank you. I put him in a $15 last night. He cashed again, 2400. Nice. Yep, that looks like his distance right there. If like that's where I would go big money at personally. Okay. Looks like a down button right here for Jeremiah's Johnson. So Jeremiah Johnson, not Jeremiah's Johnson. All right. You're getting wins, but it looks like this might be pretty flat. This looks like a down button. This looks pretty left leaning, so it might start to be like a ham bone towards like down really like over here, and then it starts to like pick up and then like plateau or go back down. I would say you need some more racing just overall in general. This looks like a down button though. If you're trying to go down in class, I would probably go 1200 meters. I would test out 1000 meters just to see, maybe get like 5 races, 10 races on each distance just to see what you're looking like. Because you got 10 races here, right? And we know like probably not going to race at 2000 meters anymore. I mean, you could, because you might get some wins over here and it might start to look a little U-y, But if these 11 and 12 start to stack up, then these two are probably your down button, especially this one. Like this might be down button, this might be a down button, and that might be a down button. I would just try out all the other ones to see if you get an up button potentially. If you want to do one more, I'm about to start paid racing the dankest nug. Yeah, I got you. Time is it? 10:44. Nice. Okay, 14% win rate. Let's go look at the horseshoe. Down button, U shape. This is where I'd go big money right here if I was you personally. Actually, I would go big money. I'd go big money races at 1,800 meters and 2,000 just because it's looking pretty left leaning with your places and your wins right here, especially your wins. Maybe 2,400 meters as well. It looks like it might just turn into like a ramp. But these definitely look like your down buttons. Sprints, I'd stay away from unless you're trying to go down in class, and you can only go down in class in paid racing. And if you want to win a big money prize pool, I would either go 22. I'd probably go 2,200 meters if I wanted to go race for big money. I might do 18 and I might do 2,000 just because you have a shot and it's a U shape right here. And then the sprints go before the marathons. Just trying to figure out what time I'm waking up tomorrow. If you come back in a few hours, you should look at the next to run, and it should tell you the time your horse is going to run. Can you check out a Song of Sorrows? Got you. Okay. Let's see what distance where you're getting all these wins at. Sheesh. Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. This looks like a good horse. All day right here, all day. Big money, big money, big money. If I'd race this horse in big money races. I'll go look and see what class you're in a second. But yeah, I would go big money. Let's just see if these are paid. Even better on paid over here. I mean, like, damn, dude. That's pretty good right here. Looks like a solid horse. Very left leaning on paid races at 1,200 meters. So this is like a good Fibonacci Cup tournament distance. I would run this horse in a sprinter's distance. And by the looks of it, it looks like potentially 2,600 meters is your down button. You're doing paid races. You're in class 5,000 meter. You're winning. Oh, shit, bro. You already know what you're doing, it looks like. Unless you're if you're purposely trying to downclass, then yeah, you already know what you're doing, because 2,400 meters, like, you got yourself out of class 3. Yeah, I mean, unless this was just on a losing. No, you did that on purpose. Yeah, that was perfect, dude. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, because, like, look, you just perfectly downclassed back here, and now you're on your way back up in paid racing. Keep doing what you're doing. Looks like a good horse. Looks like a good horse. That was months ago before new. Oh, was it? October, November, before new class system. Gotcha. Damn. I mean, but you know your distances though, right? Like, you know, like, you kind of know how to best run this horse. I go up in class with these, and then yeah, 7th place will put you down in class now. So I mean, yeah, this still looks like a down button, but yeah, looks like a good horse though. Good horse. 0.03 profit, 100 races. Z10 Jenny, nice, man. What's the why'd you stop racing it? We'll probably call that a day here in a minute, guys. He said, if you have time and want to do another one, you want to look at Mass Appeal, I got you. Okay. 0.01 profit. Let's go look at the horseshoe. Yeah, I know he's a sprinter. Just want to know if you think he can be profitable, high buy-in sprints, and lose in low class sprints. Worried about the algo change nerf. I think the only way you're gonna find out is if you do it. I think. Well, first now you're gonna have to class up to get in these big money races. So you're gonna have to work your way up to class 1 if you even want a shot at racing in big money, or at least like the $500 buy-in. But yeah, it's so rough. Either they made your horse better with the change, or they made it worse. But I guess the only way you're gonna know is if you take the shot and find out. You know what I'm saying? But Mass Appeal looks like he loves the place. I don't know why he loves this as a down button. Ooh, this one's tough. Kind of like a slight U shape. Man, this one's rough. Let's look. Where are you racing at? 14, 16, 18, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. Okay. Let's go look. So yeah, it's not the steepest. It'll probably be like a really not steep U shape, but it'll still be a U. This one's rough. It looks like he just loves the place. Honestly, I'd probably only go 1,000 meters if I was trying to go up. Oh man, that's rough. I'd go 1,000 meters and 2,000, just because you're getting third a lot. This one's hard. I'm gonna say you need some more data on the race on 2,400 meters, 2,600 meters. I wouldn't really worry about 14, but yeah, 26 and 24, I would just come back and maybe test a few more times. This one I'd probably give up on because there's none that are over here. But yeah, that one's tough. Good distances to race at. Let's just look at paid racing, see if it changes at all. Yeah, don't touch this for paid racing. 1,600 meters looks pretty good in paid racing. If you're going paid racing in 1,600 meters, it looks pretty solid. 1,600 meters and 1,000 in paid is where I would go with this horse. Yeah, I feel you. Almost feels unraced. Haha. What are you doing? The tweet giveaway, please. Yeah, that was my first horse, and it's been all over for me. Thank you for reminding me. We'll do it right now. We'll tweet out. You have to like and retweet it. All right, like and retweet. And then we'll give it an hour, and I'll do Twitter picker and tell Zed. Who texted me? Jacob? Crypto Bowl NFT. Okay, I'm going to have to text my homie. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's really it. Go like and retweet this tweet. We'll do the giveaway in an hour. And that's it. Thank you guys for coming in. Main Max says, yeah, that was my first horse, and it's been all over for me. Current raffle, 22 tickets left. If you guys want to go cop a Bot Lady raffle, let's see what you can win. If you want a Lucky Jack bread raffle, legendary Firebrick UU 4-pack, 10% donated to Extra Life for Kids. So right here, you guys want to come get a legendary 4-pack. What is this? Z10? 1Z10, 1Z12, 1Z13, 1Z15, legendary, 2 finnies and 2 butyrins, 2 females and 2 males, unraced, unbred, unnamed. Get your tickets for the first mega raffle, $25 each, 50 tickets max. Get you some flames and breed some Firebrick Supercoats into this Dynasty starter pack. Maximum 50 will be sold. Each ticket purchase will go into a live draw on Lucky Jacks. Once all raffle tickets have been sold out, they will be announced. right here, 28 bucks. So if you guys want to come copy your horse, maybe get you a better horse than you could get on the market for 25 bucks, have your shot. Go take your shot. You're going to need some ETH on Polygon. Use your Zed Run balance. And Avon says, I've got a weird one to give a look if you want. Hamar, interesting graphs. Yeah, I'll take a look, bro. Interesting graphs. Do I run him almost anywhere? If you got a jet, I get that. No, I got you. Didn't mean. You're good, bro. I understand. I mistype shit all the time. 0.01 profit. I mean, I really like 1800 meters. I really like 18 and I really like 26. So I would race at 18 and 26. This one's weird because it looks like it's a pushed in U shape. I probably wouldn't touch that. I'd only go here and I'd go 2600 meters, a little bit more, possibly a little bit more 2000 because it looks like a potential U shape a little bit, but it might not be the steepest U shape. But yeah, big. If you're going for consistency and like want to qualify for a tournament and just consistently place, then I'd go 1800 meters for this horse. ETH pumping this week. What's that? $25 a mint and no gas. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you to Zed Gazette for coming on. Thank you to Bot Lady and Andy Mack. You guys were great moderators today. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Avon, Andy Mack, Maine Mack. Shout out to all the Macks. Golden Glow, Chicago Stables, everybody that tuned in. Bobby Schmurda, Genesis, Jeff, Hallips, Waltz, everybody I know, Retro. A bunch of people are watching in the background. Shout out everybody that's watched, tuned in today. We're back tomorrow with Keith from Crimson Racing. We're going to talk about Crimson Chin and all that good stuff. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's Jarek LG, and I'm out.